Come on in, Rated Comics, Palm Springs, California. This is the comic book store, but I've got one review for you, and that's Animal Castle. So if you see over here, Animal Castle. Now I'm going to be doing Animal Castle number 2. Animal Castle number 2 is the continuation of 1 that came out earlier, and this number 2 just came out probably about a week ago or so. Yeah, about a week ago or so, maybe a little longer. Yeah, this is a great copy. It actually goes into more layers of what number 1 was, and actually shows the president, who the president is, and gives you an idea as to what he's like, which was great suspense in the first one because they held that back. Now I'm going to be doing a reader copy. I'm going to be digging into that one. It's got a different cover to it. Same comic as it is for all you that already know about that. And I'm going to dive into the layers of Animal Castle number 2 that are a continuation of what the first one was. All right, so we'll start on this version, number 2. So as a continuation of number 1, they just had the main revolt, and now they're popping a champagne bottle. I was thinking, why are they popping a champagne bottle after such a huge revolt? And these are pretty much the captions of the president, who they did not have in the first version. So it's kind of cool to see that they just jump right into showing the president, and they're he basically has the servants here. You can tell by the expressions. You watch the expressions of the animals, and it does show. It either elaborates on what's being said, which is well done in and of itself, or it kind of shows maybe the opposite of what's being said as how they feel, which is very important. Right here, it pretty much shows that you're seeing champagne being poured into a tub, and then they want to know what's going on, and he pretty much says it's time to drink. You're thinking, okay, he's the only one drinking, and so he's not in very much of a sharing mood. But it does kind of show here that he is getting ready. He knows he needs to address his subjects as to what happened, and to how to handle that from this point forward. So he comes out, and you could tell by his posture right there that he's ready to talk. He's ready to present, and he does a very good job. And you could tell, smacks the foot down. He's got his posture up and very eloquent, and you could tell the bold lettering as to what to emphasize when he's talking to people out here. It does even show. It talks down to some of the characters out here, but even just in a very fluid way of explaining his message. Hey, look, you need power to lead and to defend against the wolves that are on the outside of the castle. And he's saying that's what's necessary to get this done, and we need the rations, and the rations need to be distributed, and it's up to him that explains how that gets done. And they also say a poor sheep here is it wasn't even at the revolt. He's just trying to set precedent, and says that that one major dissent needs to pay for what was done. And now it doesn't actually show that whether or not that was actually done. In the first version, it does. The chicken that was tied to the stake was basically the hook, but then it just kind of goes into another scene with the cat. And I apologize, I don't remember her name, but with her and her kittens, it does kind of lead into her character a little bit more. It does definitely talk about Mr. Caesar, and it shows the nature of them both. Caesar as the kind of the gigolo to the other female rabbits. He definitely doesn't want to not perform his duties as the gigolo of the other female rabbits, but he wants to help out with her and her kittens. And you're kind of wondering, is there an ulterior motive involved, or what's the case here? Why is he being so nice? But at least in this section, and in number 2, he seems like a pretty cool dude, actually. And that's and I didn't know if that was coming from the first one, but now it changes scenes, and you've got the king basically with his harem, showing what a king with his harem would do, and then you got one of his crew coming in to say, hey, look, we got everything's ready for the cart's all ready for your travel. She kind of steps out of line a little bit because he's not filling her in, and he puts her right back in place. It's basically showing his nature and how he leads and how he doesn't let anybody get one up on him. So now he's taking the cart out with one of his crew, and he's the one taking it out. Which, I mean, obviously the dog couldn't take the cart out, but if he wasn't intended on it being only him, then that wouldn't be just him, obviously. But then it kind of shows, okay, we're going out of the castle here, seeing a vroom. You see a truck. Now the truck is driven by humans, and you're thinking, okay, what's going on? I didn't have any indication there was going to be a human in the first one. And now a human shows up to make a deal with this bull, and he pulls off the cart, shows not only the goods that his subjects could use for rations, but it also shows the bodies, the carcasses of those that were killed in the revolt in the first version. He also promised earlier that they would be buried respectfully, and so obviously he lied about that. And then the next scene there shows a rat coming down. You kind of wonder, well, who's the rat? I mean, who's this character now? The dog kind of like investigates for a second, thought he heard something, and just kind of leaves it as is. And then you see this big champagne coming out of the truck, boxes of champagne, and then you're thinking, okay, so now the deal's being done between the boxes of champagne and the goods that could have been used for rations. But then if you think back, okay, you obviously saw in the first page that all that champagne was being poured into a tub that he was the only one drinking, right? Doesn't sound too far removed from what a dictator would do. Them going back, they make their discussions about what had been done. Then you have the cat with Mr. Caesar, the bunny, and kind of building on those characters a little bit more. Now he wants her to accompany him to this party that they're having. Well, it's a play. It's kind of a traveling performer, and does a pretty good job showing and explaining pretty much just a story about the dictatorship that's going on right then and there. Now you do have two of the crew here watching and thinking, okay, well, what are they, what do they know? Now, they're not the brightest, but they're not the dumbest either. So they know that this rat is explaining pretty much what's the situation that they're living under right now. What kind of leadership they're under. And the dog kind of presses a little bit more. But the rat's fairly cunning. The rat has some good comebacks and a good explanation as to why, that he wasn't really talking about them, their situation, and then he breaks out in song. He pretty much he sings the Pledge of Allegiance to the king, and the dog doesn't even know the words. That's part of the crew. So one of the guards doesn't even know the words to to "Glory to the President," Silvio. The whole crew, the whole audience breaks out in song "Glory to the President." The dogs really don't know what to do at this point. Their whole attack on the rat really is broken down because the rat kind of explained himself well, and the audience pretty much just added right into it. So that was pretty well done. And then the rat kind of wakes up in the morning, gets ready to go, leaves. The dogs have orders to now follow the rat and to dispense of the rat and bring the rat's body back. The rat is able to get away, give a good stab to the dog, and then the dog pretty much with his orders still doesn't follow the letter to the T because he's not feeling too hot at that point, and just says, you know what, I'm sure he's dead. He's got the glasses, got the blood, got enough evidence for him to feel good about it being a done deal. And then the cat, she brings the the rat back, and kind of gives him a spot to chill, in a spot that that's not very likely for the dogs to ever get into, and so he's kind of safe for a little while. And then also helped by Caesar, the rabbit, who in the first Animal Castle, you really don't think that he would ever do anything out of line to disrupt his position. And then you pretty much have the rat waking up a little bit to say thank you and to explain that and it says it really well right here. It'd be a lot easier if you considered fighting hate with love, lies with truth, and violence by accepting some suffering. What it does say, look, you're going to go through some suffering, just like, and he knows that he's basically dealing with that right now. That's part of the suffering, is that he stood up to that dictatorship, to that leading party, and he suffered, but that's part of the deal. He goes on to say at the end, the real question is not if you can beat them, but if you want to. So you know that she's going to be still taking care of the rat, at least at the beginning of the next comic. The rat's probably going to be safe. You know, the cat is getting filled with some things that to think about, as far as how to handle herself in a situation like this. Is it good for her to continue on as is in this type of living atmosphere? And be ready for the third comic on Animal Castle. See, like it says up there, the real question is not if you can beat them, but if you want to. So there you are. All right, so thanks for hanging in there to the end. It was a good review. Well, I don't know. That's your choice.
That would be actually a funny blooper reel. It's a good review. Actually, if you think it is. All right, you're good.
Yeah. All right, so thanks for hanging in there to the end. I did a review on the Animal Castle #1, and Nathan here, he does reviews on a regular basis, and he's done one of Animal Castle as well, so Animal 1 and 2. So I think there might be 3 or 4 cards that show up, so check for those here at the end of the video, and check the description down below, or stop in on, if you are here in Palm Springs, come on in. Palm Springs, California, Rated Comics, ratedcomics.com, all that good stuff. Check our, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and yeah, let the comics roll on, guys. Thanks.